When I first arrived in Montreal in 2009, you could still rent a 2-bedroom apartment for $600 a month. That was standard, at least in working class and French-speaking parts of the city. In fact, it was why I chose Montreal in the first place. Vancouver, the city where I was born and the place my heart drew me to as soon as I had the freedom to choose where I actually wanted to live, was overrun with cops and landlords in the run-up to the 2010 Olympics. Friends of mine were getting snatched off the streets, seen one minute filming a cop harassing an unhoused person and then missing the next, while their roommates and band members traced the food-stained phone trees on their refrigerator doors with the intensity of hostage negotiators. I was 23 years old and exhausted, burned out from working multiple jobs to afford the rising rent and bail fund contributions, and weary of avoiding PTSD triggers that lurked around every corner after some truly unhinged experiences, which I will not be getting into here. All that's really relevant is how much I wanted a change. A friend of mine was living in Montreal but needed to move back out west, and she told me that in Montreal you could transfer leases from one person to another without too much red tape. I was paying $900 a month for a 1-room attic suite in East Van, and my landlords had just sold the house. So I quit my job, paid a company to ship most of my stuff, and flew to Montreal that summer. I moved into the apartment that my friend left behind, complete with an erotic cat whose abandonment issues caused her to pee on every single item of my clothing for our first 3 months together. But summer is the perfect time to move to Montreal. Everyone who lives here already jokes about it. It's like an abusive relationship, we like to say. We tolerate the harsh, punishing winters because we know that in the summertime, he'll treat us so good again. Over 15 years later, I still feel the promise of it. Every year when the heat settles in and the parks explode with greenery, I catch myself thinking that I don't really need a job, right? All of the trappings of my life, the routine, the responsibilities, start to seem optional. Like, what if I just left it all behind to lie in the sun in Parc La Fontaine with a bottle of Depener wine? What if instead of my 40-hour nonprofit work weeks, I made zines? This kind of thinking is delusional. I have never had that kind of class privilege. I absolutely cannot afford to quit my job and just keep living. And anyway, if I'm really honest with myself, I like my 40 hours a week in the community org salt mines. But I think it's good for the mind to indulge sometimes in a little bit of summertime delusion. To imagine a version of yourself unencumbered by board meetings and capacity building and funding reports. A woman who lives in peasant skirts and spreads her art out on a blanket in Old Port on the weekends, knowing that the universe will provide everything she needs. I don't let this version of myself run my life, but I ride the new REM line with her downtown every morning, heading under and through the mountain into the heart of the city we've made our home, stopping at the food co-op to pick up samosas and naloxone for a picnic after work, taking an extra shot of Iraq at the art sale fundraiser, and tripping home buzzed down Bernard Street at night, where the smell from the Heimische Bakery still blesses the air even after dark. Coming home to our cat, the same cat who used to sink her claws into our flesh out of fear, but now sleeps, soft and purring, on our chest at night. The great philosopher Kimia Dawson said that it's amazing raising babies in the place where you come from, and that's probably true, but there's also something magic that happens when a city you weren't born in opens its heart to you, inviting you to take your place among the millions of versions of yourself whose living rooms you can see into sometimes in the soft shadows of a waning summer evening. You're here. You're here. You're home.